What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be comparing the difference between HYDRA and HYDRA, two TitanX protocols built on top of TitanX in completely different ways, okay? So let's get right into it. So HYDRA is a protocol that's been out since, I believe, around March, and it has had plenty of time for us to get used to what it is. So HYDRA, though, is a brand new protocol that if you haven't seen the white paper diagram, if you haven't read the white paper, I highly recommend you go check that out. There's a lot of cool stuff that is going to happen, and it's got many different systemic loops and all sorts of really cool things that are going to feed back into DragonX, into TitanX, and into HYDRA. So, and again, for these white paper diagrams and much, much more, I have a public TitanX documents folder that'll be in the description below. Make sure you go check that out for any flowcharts that I show you within this video. So let's go back to HYDRA here. So let's start on the front page. The first thing is we know that HYDRA is going to have the same kind of mining capability as HYDRA. So, or HYDRA is going to have the same as what HYDRA currently has. So we'll see regular miners, which you could do over 100 power. I think it's up to 10,000. I think you can do is the most. Yeah, 10,000. And it'll be the same for HYDRA as well. You can also do a miner ladder. Now, the easiest way to explain this is instead of going in and creating single miners for, let's say, 10 days, and then a single one for 20 days and 30 days and so on, you can come in here and actually program the mining ladder itself to start on day whatever, maybe tomorrow, and then you could make miners every 8 days or every 10 days or every however many days. And then you could have the miner ladder ending at a certain point. So you could say, I want to do every 2 days up to day 20, which would mean 10 miners. See, you can see down here at the bottom, this will create a total of 10 miners with 100 power. And it's going to cost you 2 full ETH to do that. Or you could do every 5 days up to 20 days for 4, and so on and so forth. So this is an easy way to just create a miner ladder all in one shot. And HYDRA will have this as well. Now, if we were to scroll down a little bit, we're going to see that we have the global H rank. And what's interesting to note here is how the H rank came with bonuses. And what we know about HYDRA is that there is going to be no bonuses for mining HYDRA. It's just straight up, you put money in, you put your ETH in, you mine HYDRA, and you get the exact HYDRA that you see right here. So if we were to go to create miner, do a 100 power miner, just a regular old 88-day miner, we're going to get 573 million tokens, and we're also going to get H rank. But with HYDRA, you're only going to get this amount. So the ROI is completely based off of what the price is relative to the amount of tokens that you're going to get, meaning this amount of tokens here is worth 292% more than what you would get if you bought using $472 on the market today. So that's how this whole ROI system works. So HYDRA is very different in that sense. Now, how are they similar? Well, you can't see it here because we don't have a miner going, but what you can actually see is you have early end. Okay, so you can early end a miner in both HYDRA and in HYDRA. Again, this is super risky. If you don't know what you're doing, you could absolutely wreck yourself here. Please don't do it if you don't know what this is, exactly why it is, and how to use it properly, because it's a very dangerous tool. So that's the front page here. And I think I've hit everything. So we're going to move on to the next page, which is the staking page. And with HYDRA, there is no staking. Okay. It is just you mine or you buy, one of the two. And again, if just as a quick reminder for the HYDRA protocol, we're going to go over the flowchart here. So the main difference between HYDRA and HYDRA, I mean, there's a ton of differences, but in terms of, the process of mining, one of the big differences I know a lot of you guys are we're not happy about, was using ETH to mine HYDRA, whereas HYDRA is going to have TitanX that you need to mine it. So the process is you use ETH to mine HYDRA, create HYDRA miners. The ETH is collected by the buy and burn, and 8% goes to the vortex. 89% of it goes to buying TitanX. 70% of that TitanX goes to buy HYDRA. 20% of the TitanX is burned forever. 10% of that TitanX goes to the vortex. So the vortex is just stacking up tokens over here. And then 20% of the HYDRA is sent to the 98-day and 369-day HYDRA payouts, 50-50. and 80% is burned in this chain. And after the vortex goes and buys up TitanX and then also uses the TitanX it has already in the vortex, it goes and completely buys HYDRA up off the market and burns it all forever. Okay, so that is the Hyper white paper diagram and the flowcharts. Again, if we go back to HYDRA, the biggest difference is with DragonX and the staking vault. Okay, so how are these two protocols really going to work over time, and what is the main difference that I think is going to happen over time? Well, realistically, you've got two very different scenarios, in my opinion. I think they're going to work, their underlyings of how they're going to operate in terms of on a consistent basis will probably be fairly similar. However, the difference here is that you have HYDRA paired on DragonX, and so far DragonX has proved to be much more volatile than TitanX, right? So that changes a lot of things. Now, I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail there because there's just a whole lot to unpack. But with DragonX 2, the reason that could be so volatile is because you also have TitanX being sent to the DragonX staking vault, which gets more ETH, which buys up more TitanX, buys up DragonX, and the list goes on and on and on. So when you have an asset paired to something else that is more volatile compared to something else, you tend to get more volatility. Now, when things are going well, it can go very, very well, right? But if things are going down, well, it's going to drag that down with it as well. Now, that being said, if TitanX is going down, it's pulling DragonX down with it, well, it's all good. Everything's going to go down in tandem. But if TitanX is just chilling and maybe going up, and the DragonX to TitanX ratio is going down, meaning DragonX is going down in price, that could mean that it's going to pull down HYDRA with it, okay? Even though people are using TitanX to mine HYDRA, which is going to lower the miner ROI and so on and so forth. So really, there is a lot actually different, even though these systems are fairly similar. Like you use a token to mine, you get 88-day miners, there's a vortex, there's buy and burns, there's 3 different tokens involved, TitanX, HYDRA, and DragonX. And in Hyper, it's TitanX, ETH, and Hyper. So again, very similar, but there's some major differences. And I think it's important for you guys to understand that these two can be used very differently, it seems. So we're going to have to watch how things play out, because obviously this is all speculation. I've got no idea. We don't know what the price of HYDRA is going to be yet. We don't know what the liquidity is going to be set at. We don't know what the market is going to do. But it's important to understand that these two protocols can have very different purposes and be very effective at different times during these next number of months as we go into the bull. So I hope that clears things up. There are always small differences that we're going to see here. Like one of the differences that we can talk about is the vortex. Now the vortex in Hyper, of course, ETH and TitanX, but in the vortex for HYDRA, it has DragonX and TitanX. So those two, though, are going to be emitted every 98 days versus this vortex skipped around. It waited, and its first vortex is actually going to happen in the next week. So in 7 days at day 196, that this vortex is going to go off for the first time. So it's been stacking ETH and TitanX since day 1, and now it's finally going to go off. Versus with HYDRA, the vortex is going to go off immediately on day 98. But other than that, guys, things are actually very comparable. And in terms of understanding them, if you can understand Hyper, you can absolutely understand HYDRA. But where they're different is internally how they're paired to the different tokens in the ecosystem and how that's going to affect them in the long run as well. It's going to change everything. And again, you're going to be able to use these tokens at different times, or use these systems at different times, do different styles of compounding or long-term mining. It really depends, but they're both different tools, even though they are so similar. So I just want to make a quick video to clarify that and make sure you understand the differences and the similarities between HYDRA and Hyper, and get everyone on that base understanding of how they operate. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope this clarified a few things and gave you some food for thought, so that way you can start thinking about, how do I want to use Hyper in the future? How do I want to use HYDRA? And start getting a game plan going for how you can potentially build a bigger TitanX bag, a bigger DragonX bag, maybe just get more Hyper or Hydra, whatever you want to do with it. So I'm just trying to give you more tools, more information, so that way you're armed and ready for the day when Hydra shows up. So that being said, that's all for the video. Thank you for watching. Go smash that like button and make sure you are subscribed for much more content like this. And if you want to go way deeper than where we go on this channel, go check out my Mastermind. It's going to be meeting weekly every single Friday. There's only 20 spots available. Go check that out. It is going to be awesome. I also do one-on-one coaching with 1 hour and 30-minute calls. So if you need help with anything, even if it's just troubleshooting, if it's wallet stuff, buying tokens, bridging, I can help you with pretty much all of it. So go check out my links below. And again, if you want access to all these flowcharts, diagrams, link will be in the description below for that. But anyways, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.